Hey, what's up, everybody? What's going on? Hey, I want to go live. I just got out of some amazing training. Um, Keisha and I are always trying to level up our skills um, in business and on entrepreneurship, and we're doing something amazing because of what's going on in the world. We're able to take a class virtually that we've been wanting to take for some time. We have uh, worked as administrators and facilitators, program coordinators for the Weibo program, but we have been able to at this point do it virtually with the Weibo New York, which is the headquarters of the Weibo program. And so we have been in the midst of doing the training. And so tonight, I heard something that could really help a lot of entrepreneurs that was brought to my attention by Steven Jackson, the CEO of Weibo. And so I want to bring him on tonight. He won't be able to be on with us long, but I really want him to talk about what he kind of gave us in the class. He gave us, we learned so much today in class to improve our business. But this one particular nugget he gave us, I definitely wanted to share with my friends and my family, and also the people specifically in the Black owned business restaurant group, because I think there are a lot of things Black restaurants do very well in business, but marketing is definitely something we can improve on. And I'm gonna bring Keisha on right quick, and just for right before I bring Steven on, Keisha, can you tell me about your experience about the class and what you thought about it?
Okay, can we do a mic check? Is the sound good? Do I sound all right?
Fine.
Okay. Well, yeah. Today was pretty powerful to me because it's all about uh, branding and marketing and all that. And I don't know if what you're talking about, what you heard, was the same thing I heard that made me just really excited. But the thing is, he we were asked what is a brand, and we were told that a brand is your return on your promise, dude. Like
I'm
that.
not gonna let you do the class. We're gonna let Steven do it.
I'm not trying to do the class, but you asked
No,
me.
but what I wanted to do is talk about. Let me, as I do that, I'm gonna bring Steven Jackson in, the CEO of Weibo. Keisha was trying to steal your thunder there, but I'm not gonna
No,
let her steal. But what I really want to talk about is bring out in this. Just trying to give you some context here, Steven, before we get started. We started a Black restaurant group here in Waco. Mm-hmm. And we initially thought there was maybe 10, 12 Black owned restaurants in our community. Turns out there are 32 restaurants and food trucks, which they let me know is one, something Keisha lets me know all the time. I don't know as much as I thought I knew. And also, if a guy with that really fancies himself as a foodie does not know about your restaurant, I'm wondering, what are we doing as far as getting the word out? And maybe that's the gap that we have. But you said something today that really rung true for me. And just can you talk about what you said? You said, what is your brand and what does it mean? Can you just talk about it?
Definitely. So before I say that, the fact that you did not know there was 32 restaurants in your town, your city, meant that you didn't do your market research. You went on your perception. And so that's the first thing we always talk about. Get away from your perceptions of business and get the data. So that's always number one. But yes, know it. But when we talk about a brand, a lot of people will say that a brand is a mark, the logo, the slogan, the packaging. They talk about all these materialistic visual cues, what they think a brand is. Where in reality, a brand is your promise, is your return on promise. So what happens is that your company is making a promise to their target, to their market. And your brand perception is positive when you get a positive return on that promise that you make. So if I'm running a restaurant and I am promising good food, right? And we promise what it say is soul food. I'm promising a down home, authentic soul food taste, but I'm giving you canned vegetables. That's not a good return on my promise. And if Gordon Ramsay comes in and take off his makeup, that's even worse. Yeah, I am a fan of Gordon Ramsay shows. So I tell anyone, if I'm ever in a location, if I'm ever sitting in a restaurant and Gordon Ramsay comes in the first time, I'm calling my attorney. I'm not gonna be cheesing for the camera because obviously I done ate some bad food, which means that there was no return on promise. So that's the first thing that we got to. Always want people to understand about your brand. It's not about the logo, the mark, all that other stuff. It's really about the promise that we make. So we make a specific promise to our customers, to our clients, and our focus and our brand is not owned by me. I don't control the perception of my brand. The public does, and how they interact with my brand. And if they get a good return on the promise that I'm making, then my brand perception is good. Okay. If I'm not delivering on my promise, if I'm saying I'm serving soul food, down authentic soul food, but everything is coming out of a microwave and out of cans and frozen, then I'm not giving a good return on my promise. And people are going to realize that they are spending this exorbitant amount of money for stuff they could have gotten in the supermarket and done themselves. So their perception of my restaurant is not going to be good. Now, I'm not saying anyone is doing that in Waco, but I'm just saying this is what happens when we don't live up to the promise. We don't keep the promises that we're making in business. And the public will be very quick to say, hey, man, you're not living up to your word. I'm not coming back. I'm going to go on social media also and tell people don't come, don't go there, don't eat there as well. And this is what can happen. So when you understand that you are now making a promise and your focus is to keep that promise, right, to have a good brand perception, then everything you are doing in your operations is about helping you keep that promise. So once again, I'm gonna go back to the restaurant because we're in a restaurant group. That means I'm telling people I'm getting an authentic soul food experience. That means we're cooking food. We're not just, microwave some quick stuff and whatever. We're actually cooking food. We're going to give them the ambience that they're asking for, okay? Mm-hmm. Which means that, they come into the restaurant, they're going to be greeted properly. They're going to be seated properly. Someone is going to take their order in a reasonable amount of time. You don't even be sitting there 30 minutes. You don't even get a glass of water or silverware. All these things go to your promise, okay? So regardless of what you're saying and how you're marketing yourself, if you're not first living up to the promise that you're making, your marketing is going to fail you.
Right.
Because someone will come in one time, but if they don't get what you promised in your marketing to them, they're not coming back. Now you don't have a customer. A customer is a repeat person. Mm-hmm. Someone who just comes to your restaurant one time and never comes back, that wasn't a customer. And you do want repeat business, and the way to get repeat business is you keep your promise. So now, that's what we.
No. What I was going to say is, you put a very complex concept in a very simple, succinct manner. This week, we were going through market research and branding and marketing is coming up as our homework for next week. And as you can see, a lot of our classmates, cohort members, were kind of struggling with those concepts, and you came at the end and kind of tied it all up and explained it in a very succinct manner for us. Now, we're 3 weeks in, and I just want to mention we're 3 weeks into our training, and I feel like Keisha and I have been in business 15 years so far. Mm-hmm. But even in these 3 weeks, we've learned so many new concepts, we've seen so many holes where we can fill in our own business, and also this new business venture that we're taking on. Right. We're using as the training as a springboard to our new business venture. And I just wanted to give you time to share with the people in the restaurant group about what branding means. Kind of, a synopsis of what you gave us in the class. But also, I want to bring you on to kind of talk about Weibo and what Weibo offers an entrepreneur that's already in business, or simply somebody who has a business concept who wants to take it to that next level.
So the workshop and business opportunities, known as we call it Weibo for short. Our focus is to put people into business. We're not that organization that's going to sit around and help you write a business plan. We're about executing a step every week that's going to get you closer to either launching a business or making improvements in your existing business so that it becomes profitable. So our workshop and our workbook is titled How to Build a Growing Profitable Business, because it's not enough just to open a business and make money. You got to be profitable to stay in business. Okay. So existing companies will take the workshop because they want to figure out what are they doing. They're making sales, but they don't know if they're all profitable. They don't know, their marketing is all over the place. So they take the workshop because in those 10 or 16 weeks, whichever one they're taking, they get the opportunity to start to figure out and what is going to work best for them. So our thing is that we are not teaching you. Okay, we're just facilitating a conversation every week, and you and your peers who are in the class with you are sharing feedback based upon your perceptions of businesses that you have worked with and you've done business with. So the thing is that what makes this work is that you get to get information from people who see your business through their eyes. That's 180 degrees of peripheral vision that you don't have. And when we say there's 7 billion people on the planet, there's 7 billion ways to do things. There is no one right way to do things. So that's why we don't teach that in the workshop. We don't tell you step 1 is you do this, step 2 to do this. No, we're going to say, hey, okay, guess what? This is about marketing research. What do you feel is some of the best ways to go about you obtaining the marketing research that you need for your business? What's right for your business will not be right for mine. And like I said, I tell everyone, I've had the great honor over the past 22 years to have taken the workshop, graduate from the workshop, build and sell 3 companies based on that. But I tell you, in all honesty, I still can't teach anyone how to build a business. But we can have conversations, and that's what I've done over the years. I have conversations. I've had entrepreneurs sit in my living room and we talk, and they get to launch their stuff because we're just having a conversation. I'm not saying you should do this, do this, do this. I say, how would this work for you? Well, I can tell you what some of my experiences was. And I can say, well, this was my experience, and I'm not going to say it's not going to work for you or will work for you, but you can fine tune it to make it fit you. And that's pretty much what we do for 10 weeks or for 16 weeks. And at the end of that, the focus is if you have not started your business, it's about starting your business, okay, and starting your business with the resources that you have available to you, because the definition of business means that I sold you something, you paid me for it. That means I am now in business, and Uncle Sam is going to want his cut immediately afterwards. There
it is.
So we want to make sure that you got your cut is big enough to give him his share, and you still got some money left over. Yeah. That's our focus on it. For companies who have already been in business, our focus for you is to help you develop some processes, some concepts, some ideas to strengthen your foundation, to strengthen your marketing, to understand your break-even analysis. So anyone who has taken this workshop, and we're going back we've been around since 1966. So this is 55 years of this workshop. And I took it in 92. Anyone who has gone through this workshop would tell you that there's 3 units of this workshop that they just frazzle your mind. It's called break-even analysis.
6, 7, 8.
6, 7, and 8. It is about making a profit. It's not about us teaching you math, but it's about going through the numbers, understanding how much are your direct costs. Those are the things you got to pay as your sales grow. How much your indirect costs, the stuff you got to pay out every month. If you got 1 customer or 1,000 customers, how does this relate to your competition? What's the value that you have that your competitors have, so that you could price your product successfully, so that it's not too overpriced for you the market that you're going after, and it's not too low so that you can make some profit. And those 3 units are tough units, but they're not tough because we want to just make it you frazzle. They're tough because we really want you to understand in order to be profitable, you have to know your numbers. It's just like any .com company got an app out there where they want to go to market valuation. They got to know their numbers. And the first thing, if you ever go on Shark Tank and you don't know your numbers, you got eaten alive. That's the first thing they're gonna ask you. How many sales you make? What's the cost of your sales? That's the first thing. They always ask those questions. So they say, how many sales you had? Well, I did 300,000. Okay, what's the cost of your sales? If you say I don't know, well, you're dead right there. So that's what we're focusing on, is for you to know your numbers. Because when you know your numbers, you can now make adjustments so that you become profitable. Okay. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know if you're making money or not making money. But you wouldn't. Well, you will know if you're not making money because you're not gonna be able to make all your bills. Yeah. So, but that's pretty much what we do for the 10-week. Whether you take the 10-week workshop, which is really geared toward those who are in like the gig economy or internet businesses, they're not setting up more major brick and mortar. The 16-week one is for those who are in brick and mortar or more established or looking to start a type of establishment where they're going to have employees and other items where the other units 9 through 16 become important to them. Understanding human resource, how to hire properly, understanding the structure of your business, understanding your presentation, your business presentation. But for, like I said, we've been very fortunate to been doing this. This is what we do very, very well. This workshop has been taught in so many places: Tibet, mainland China, Bulgaria. Been taught on Indian reservations in the southwestern Arizona. And it's fortunate to be also now to be taught in Waco, Texas. We're very glad that it's been there. I know this is about the 4th year. We're in Waco, and then we're getting ready. You guys are getting ready to start up a new another cohort in September. And it's going to be, and I would tell like anyone else, any business owner, if you got a passion, you got an idea, you got a gift, and everybody has an entrepreneurship DNA. So that's the first thing. We all have entrepreneurial DNA because we all have gifts and talents that we can utilize that can make us money. Mm-hmm. Okay. But we may have, over the years, we have gotten taught that, go get a job is the safest thing to do. And I think COVID-19 has taught us that no, having a job is not always the safest thing to do. I can go and make more money on my own. And that's what our workshop is for. Our workshop is about launching you into business by the end of either 10 weeks or the end of 16 weeks.
And you know what? What's really important to me today is that our discussion leader, she said Weibo makes you become very honest with yourself. And she said after she graduated from the Weibo class, she knew she was grateful that she took the class because she knew what she was going for. It wouldn't have been able to sustain her lifestyle. She wouldn't have been able to make any money. So it caused her to pivot into something else using the information and the knowledge that she learned from Weibo, and has ushered her into something else that has turned out to be, it seemed like, pretty great.
Yeah, that happens, and she's not the only one. That happens a number of times. Over the years, there's been, I can't give you the number, but God knows there's been a number of people took the workshop. They thought they had a great business idea, and as they gone through, they realized that, this is not going to really work the way I thought it was going to work. And since I've been a part of Weibo, and I've been a volunteer for over 15 years, but the last 10 years consistently, I can tell you right now, I've seen a number of participants come to the Weibo program, and they've been to start off at one point, but by the time they got to week 7 or 8, they already pivot at that point and said, no, I think I need to do this. But they start going through the numbers and say, well, between market research and 6, 7, and 8, mapping, making a profit, the breaking analysis, you really know if you got a viable business idea or not. Oh, yeah. So that's why we start with market research. So if you've done the market research, you realize, well, your market is not as strong as you thought it was. And now you go into the numbers and you realize, I can't really sell this for what I want to sell it and be profitable because then I don't have so strong a market. And you realize, something, well, what can I do? Or how should this business look? And that's what normally happens. You get the opportunity to look at your business and say, well, what should my business look like? So the restaurant industry here in New York City right about now, restaurants are still outdoors. There's no inside dining. So now everybody has trying to get a little section of the curbside, and set up some stuff so they get some tables out there and get some customers. So they've already had to, pivot several different ways, and they're still, serving at a percentage of what they normally served at. So a 40-table restaurant has space for 40 tables right about now, is only serving maybe 10, 15 tables at a time. So it's like, how do you become profitable? How do you stay profitable in those type of environments? And that's when you start to look at your numbers. You may say, okay, I got menu items that don't sell that much, but yet I'm still buying those supplies. Why?
Yeah.
So this is an opportunity to look at your, you take this look at your business. You say, you look at the numbers, you look at your at what you're offering. And you may say, well, wait a minute, these are the hottest items on the menu. I need to shave this menu down and become off of this or stick to what your strengths are.
Right.
Now you get the opportunity to go to your strengths. So if you serving 2 or 3, you say you're a regular American restaurant and your menu is like 4 pages, 4 pages long, it may be time to trim that to the dishes that are strong, that people really come for, your signature dishes, the things that you're known for, and all that other stuff may be time to let it go until things get better. So this is what we talk about in Weibo. This is what we get the opportunity to have discussions around. We talk about the customer service. How are you communicating with your customers? How often do you communicate with your customers? What are you saying to them? How do you make your customers feel special during all this pandemic? Take a case of hairdressers. So hairdressers couldn't touch hair, but it didn't mean they couldn't teach their audience how to do their hair. I mean, women, Zoom, women still on Zoom and they still want to look halfway. You don't want to be on Zoom looking busted. And, I had one beautician, what she did, she was making all her customers wigs. She said, look, man, I want to make you a wig, send it to you. Use that until I can get to you, And some beauticians went on Instagram or Facebook Live and said, this is what you're going to do for yourself until you can get to me. But that's
found some new business.
There you go. Or even new lines of business,
Right.
So I always say there's always opportunities in adversity, always.
That's
And this pandemic allowed businesses to really create some unique opportunities if they focused on it. And that's what we do at Weibo. We ask you to focus on the things that you have control over, the things that you can do, not the things that you don't have control over. So that's why we say our folks are launching the business, not a business plan. Because you write a business plan, the first thing you're going to do is go look for some money to fund it.
Right.
And one thing we learned that when we went up to New York to visit is that Weibo, the program encourages, is to scale your business from where you are right now. Don't go out and try to incur a lot of debt in order to start your business if it's not necessary, or figure out a way of how to start that business with what you can put your hands on right now. And so that's very eye-opening and very important.
So going back to the food industry, I have a young lady. She makes company's called Miss Spud. She does French fries and with different sauces and stuff, right? So she started off with a portable fryer, going to weekend events, weekend outdoor events. That's where she started. Now this summer, she got an agreement to be at a park, and she's launching a food truck. So, but she started where she could. She didn't have restaurant money to start off and open up a restaurant. She didn't even have food truck money at that time, but she had enough money to get her a fryer. She had a vehicle to transport her fryer around. Matter of fact, she did our graduation. She brought her fryer out to the place we had graduation at, plugged it in, made these seafood fries for everybody, but that showed her that, you start where you are with the resources that you can gather, not so much focus on the things that you don't have. Oh, I got to go get a bank loan to start a business. Well, yeah, good luck with that. If you ain't got no rich uncles or, people ready to dump a few $1,000, then you got to utilize what you can utilize. And that's why we say we focus on putting you in business at the end of 16 weeks, not a business plan.
Now we have in our very first cohort, we had a couple two ladies that were interested in opening a laundromat, and it was what they came to Weibo first for was something completely different than what it actually turned into. And they were just talking about finding a location and renting these machines and all this. But after they graduated, at our graduation, they took maybe about 4 orders. It turned into a mobile laundry service.
There
And
you go.
they have a national account with Securitas, I think it's called, and they launder all of their security guards uniforms. And so that was, I want to say that was like their 5th client. So they're doing amazing. They had no idea what what they were wanting to do. It turned up to be something else, and they are profitable, which is amazing out the gate. And they're just on fire and ready to just pour into other businesses, people that are interested for the next cohort. So I'm excited about that too.
Great. That's good to hear. I mean, that's what we're all about is you know, starting where you are with what you have versus what you think you need to be in business, you know. And we got to realize that we're in a very exciting time. There's some new, you know, just things are so different than what they were 5, 10, 15 years ago. So there's so many different opportunities, and the cash outlay to start a business is not what you think you need to be successful, to grow a business. It's really about starting where you are, making sales, putting back into the business, growing the business, reinvesting, learning more, tightening up your marketing, find new avenues, and, you know, and deliver on your promise.
Right. Your mic is off.
I just want to wrap this up by saying, Weibo, you get so much valuable training. You get market research. You get branding information, break-even analysis. There's so much that Weibo has to offer, and we're going to launch the program here in Waco in September. Will be our next cohort. So if, in fact, you want to get registered, go to Weibo. It's Waco. It's WeiboWaco.org. WeiboWaco.org.
I know that, right? But
yeah. I mean, the creator of the site should know it. But anyway,
so that's WIBOWACO.org. Yes.
You know, hey, but yeah, I mean, you know, that's why I wanted to get the word out, because it's we shouldn't keep all of this program. We need to open it up to everybody, all industries, everybody in our community. As Stephen, as we were trying to focus, as Keisha and I have taken on the focus of trying to encourage entrepreneurs that are Black to get into business, go into business, chase their dreams. There's always going to be a time for you there's always going to be somebody hiring. There's always going to be an opportunity to get a job. But the sooner you get your business off the ground, the sooner you can start fulfilling all your dreams, because no one hires you to fulfill your dreams. And I just want to give everybody an opportunity to get the same kind of training we're getting through the Weibo program. And so
I want to end with saying that, you know, entrepreneurship is important to our communities, because is interesting that a lot of the think tank leaders and higher educational institutions are now saying that entrepreneurship is the fastest way to improve the economic viability of any community, especially underserved communities. So when we look at Black and Hispanic communities, it's going to be entrepreneurs that are going to be able to improve those communities. It's not coming from a government program. It's going to come from business owners who are going to hire from within their community, grow their businesses, able to create more political power, influence the voting in their community, make sure they get the representation that they deserve. And that is how this organization was formed. This organization was formed during the race riots in 1965, where our founders was watching, you know, Blacks being hosed down, dogs sicked on them and beaten just for basic human rights. You know, so here we are now. Our mission is the same. Our focus is the same. And the thing is that we just want to create as many entrepreneurs as possible, you know, because when you can always pay yourself what you believe you're worth. You know, you can't always depend upon a job to do it. I'm not going to never tell anyone don't get a job. But if you have a burning desire, if you have a gift or a talent, if you really believe that you can, if you got a side hustle that you've been doing, you want to make it legitimate, simple as that, then this organization has the tools, it has the curriculum, but more importantly, it has the people. What makes our program really works is the volunteers who give their time. These are all business owners who take their time once a week to go over a topic that they are very familiar with, that they are experts in, that they are, they work with all consistently. But they don't just stop there. Our average service of our volunteers is about 9.5 years. We got volunteers who've been with us 10, 15. I got volunteers been with us almost 30 years. I got one volunteer. He's definitely been with us since the 70s. I don't even know how long, but I could count. He's been with us that long. So these are individuals who love what giving back to these to these new entrepreneurs. They want to see you successful, and that's the number one thing, is that everyone who steps in front of a classroom and a Weibo classroom is there because they want to see these entrepreneurs succeed. So it's not just taking the course; it's understanding that there's a group of individuals who will always be on your side, always be on your team. You can call any of us up. And that's what normally happens. We get emails. I get emails. Yes, I'm the CEO, but I still answer emails and take phone calls from class participants. And if I don't have an answer, we reach into our network and find out who can give you an answer. That's what makes this program really works, is because it's not just us teaching the curriculum. And when we also say that we got business owners who've been in business for 25 and 30 years, that speaks to the strength of what we do. And I appreciate this. Thank you.
And I just want to also mention there are limited spaces available, but there's limited spaces available. I'm being perfectly honest with you.
Yes, there are.
We don't have unlimited registration. So go ahead and go to if you are interested, go to WeiboWaco.org right now. Go ahead and fill out the application. There's an interview that is required before you're allowed to be a member of the cohort. There's some administrative stuff that we need to take care of. But if you go ahead and get your place reserved, you can be sure to have a position in our September cohort. So I encourage you, go ahead and go to WeiboWaco.org, fill out the application, and someone will get back with you. We'll set up an interview and get you set up for the class in September. Stephen, anything you want to say before we close?
I would say, yes, we do charge for our program. We don't give it away. We want people to put some skin in the game. However, we are a sliding scale. We don't make profits off of our individuals. My job is to go out there and always raise enough money to support this program, support everything else. I'm also going to say, for individuals, if you're a veteran, our program is free to you. There is no fee for our veterans. And if you've been recently incarcerated in the last 2 or 3 years, our program is free to you as well. Okay. If you made them, whatever, I don't care about, we don't get into the mistakes that happens. No one on this planet is perfect. We all make mistakes. And just because you made a mistake, but if you got a dream of being an entrepreneur, our program is still there for you to accomplish that as well. We are not looking to turn away anyone from being an entrepreneur. We just want to make certain that you have a business concept, you have some passion, some enthusiasm of what you want to do. And our goal is to help you figure that out and launch a business. That's really that's basically what we do in a nutshell. And, we love doing it.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Stephen, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. Like I say, this was not scheduled. Mm-hmm. I was just amped up and excited after our training and after everything that we learned and was exposed to this evening. And I wanted to get some of it, what I could, out on the interwebs to encourage people not only to understand what a brand is and what the covenant that they have with the customer as it relates to their brand. Yep. And so
it's all good till Gordon Ramsay walks in.
Yeah. But the cool thing is people who are in business, you get a chance to chase your dreams. And that's not something that your employer is ever going to offer you. He's not going to offer you an opportunity to chase your dreams. And in business, that's what you're doing. I know it kind of sounds hokey or whatever, but that is actually what you're doing when you take your destiny in your own hands and decide, I'm going to create this.
You create generational wealth, and that's something that was already deprived of our communities. We were redlined from owning homes, which was the easiest way to create generational wealth. You can always, here I'm gonna tell you, I don't mean to take up more time. I just want to tell you there's an interesting story here in New York City. So when they were designing the suburbs in Queens and Long Island, they 117,000 homes was built, and it was sold at a price between $9,000 and $10,000. This is like the early 1940s, right after World War II. However, there was a law on the books that said they couldn't be sold to black people. So all these white folks, people ran out to the suburbs and bought $10,000 homes. Maybe their home might even cost $9,000. You know how much that home is worth on the market today? How much equity has built in that home? How many kids have been sent to college because? How many businesses have been launched because of the equity of a $10,000 home over 20, 30 years? We were locked out of that. But however, owning a business is a way to create generational wealth. I have 5 daughters, and 3 of them are in business. And they got that because they watched their father build companies. My youngest daughter never seen me have a job. She's 27 years old. This is the first job I've had that she knew about. I mean, the joke I made when I took the position of Weibo, I said, Tommy finally got a job. That's what I texted them. And they was busting out laughing because I've been an entrepreneur in control of my own destiny, and I've done a lot of great things, but also they learned and they decided I don't need to have a job. I don't want to have to go this path. I can go this route as well. So 3 of the 5 are running companies. My youngest one is just now starting her brand new business. My 2 older ones have been in business for a few years. My middle daughter is a political activist, so she's we will know by end of next week that she will be the assembly person for her district, going to Albany, representing us, representing her community. But they got this from someone in the family taking an opportunity to become a business owner.
That's right.
To create generational wealth. And the interesting thing that I like when people are coming to Weibo, so we have this question, there's 10 questions. We ask you 10 questions of why you're starting a business. No one says they're starting a business to make a lot of money up front. The reason is always, I want to inspire my community, or I want to leave something for my children. There's always these other reasons. So when we're starting businesses, yes, we want to make a good living and live, comfortable. Some people may want Jay-Z money. There's nothing wrong with that. However, no one is starting a business. They always got other reasons. They want freedom. They want to get away from their suck job. They want to pay themselves what they really believe they're worth. They want to follow their passion. They want to do what their gifts are. These are all the things they do that they're starting a business for. And money has never been one of the top 5 answers. Was that a question?
Yeah, I was trying to put it up. It says, what about those who are looking for a specific business of items to sell, but a business of multiple services? I don't think there's a restriction.
Only thing we ask that you do is that you are focusing on one business. Now, if the business is going to have multiple services, those multiple services are tied together, then we can work with that. But if you all want to get into real estate, yes, actually we got one young lady who's in real estate in this cohort right now. So real estate is a business, and we encourage you, if that's what you want to get into, yes. What about the spouse of a veteran? Yeah, traditionally it's the veteran. The veteran has to have the DD-214 because our sponsors that's what they require. But we could work out a deal for the spouse of a veteran. We just can't give it to you for free. We only give it to the veteran.
And here's what I'll say about free. The time that you're going to invest in Weibo, it's a significant time investment. But what you're going to get in return is invaluable. Matter of fact, you couldn't put a price tag on what you get in return from Weibo.
Exactly.
Now,
Yeah, we put a price and we said, our workbook can normally go for $5,000. Wait, but I done my break even now. I know my numbers. I know I can charge.
Well, my point is,
if I was for profit, I know what my numbers are. I know what I can charge for this.
But the barrier of entry of registration is well above what the value of the course is my only point. And when you say it's a sliding scale, it's based on your circumstances, and so that's something that will have to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
However, it's important that everybody has some skin in the game because, again, we have limited slots. We don't want you to take up a slot that could have been taken by somebody else, and the only reason you're taking it is because it's free, and someone else would be taking it because
that's why the workshop is not free, except for those who we feel and the reason it's free for veterans is there is we get a sponsor. There's a specific sponsor that funds WEBO, and the requirement they want veterans to take the program. So they're actually paying foot in the bill. The same thing for those who've been recently incarcerated. We have a foundation called the Gutenstein Family Foundation, and they sponsor the reentry program of the Workshop and Business Opportunities. And that's the reason why we're able to make the workshop free for veterans and for recently incarcerated, because they have we got specific sponsors that. So
you have funding for those individuals, basically.
We have funding for those individuals, and we always and we report back to them. And in our report, we always say, hey, we this many veterans took the program. So there's accountability as well. That's one of the reasons why I cannot do spouses, because we actually have to show DD 214s of the veterans. Say, we had this many people go through the program who are veterans. Here are the copies of the DD 214, and that that is us proving that we keeping our promise. Once again, the thing is about return on promise. So we put a promise out there, and it's our job to keep that promise. Okay. And we do have other. So our focus is just that we want you to put skin in the game. Our focus is we're not nowhere near charging market value of what this workshop can go for. Matter of fact, you can take something similar in college and you'll spend, anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 in a college, and you're spending, less than 10% to take it through our program, only because our focus is we are a nonprofit. We're more on the mission than we are on, you funding Stevens Jaguar. I don't own one yet.
It says, do you explain in depth how nonprofits work?
Our workshop is actually, nonprofits do come and take our workshop because a nonprofit is a business.
Okay.
Just that you do different things with the profits. So a nonprofit has to put a certain amount of their profits back into the mission of the nonprofit, but you still want to run a profitable nonprofit. At the end of the day, WEBO needs to be profitable, because if we're not profitable, we can't grow and do other things, to improve the program and create a better program. So WEBO is run as a business. That's all I've ever done is run businesses. So I approach WEBO as a business. It's just that I raise money in a different way, and I make certain that the money is not tied into the profits are not tied into my salary, and me buying a home somewhere else, or all this other stuff is tied back into the mission of the organization. So it's very clear that we have to return a certain amount of our profits have to be spent into the mission of the organization. I do receive a salary. I have staff. They receive salaries as well, and those things are regulated. So I can't take the profits of WEBO and do other things with it.
And you have a board that a very active board, for that matter.
That's right.
That is quite proud of the work that you guys do, to be quite honest.
Yes.
That's why they're an active board. So
yeah. So nonprofits do come and take our workshop. So if you are working on a nonprofit, definitely WEBO is a good place to figure it out. You still have to do marketing, regardless of what service that or communities that you're serving. You still have to do. You guys still have to do some target market research. Still have to do some marketing message. Create your message. You're gonna still create your campaigns, what they're gonna look like. You still need to go through break-even analysis and figure out, how much of these services is going to cost you, how much money you need to raise, where is that money going to come from? Is it going to come from grants? Is it going to come from individuals individuals. They're going to come from foundations. You need to start to figure out what that's going to look like and how much money do you actually need each year to run your program. So it's really very little difference between what you're going to experience as a nonprofit versus a for-profit business going through this workshop.
Awesome.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome, Steve. Hey, well, we know how dedicated you are as a as the Weibo CEO, because I think in New York it's almost 10 o'clock and you still huh?
He's a marathon runner. He's still
Yeah. I know he got plenty of energy whatsoever. Man, but I really appreciate it, Steven, man. Like I said,
My pleasure.
This has been awesome. I just thought it was very important that we got the information out in front of people about what's happening in September so that they can go ahead and register. And we probably will do another one of these probably in August of some sort, because there'll probably be something, huh? It won't. Well, like I say, I'm not gonna make any promises because we can get started. And like I say, it doesn't seem like we've been on here 45 minutes, but there was a lot of really great information put out by Steven about the Weibo program and him sharing about branding. And so if you are just now getting the video, I would definitely suggest you go back to the front of it and watch the entire thing, because it is some very valuable information he's provided. But thank you again, Steven. And Keisha, do you have anything?
All I will say is go to WeiboWaco.org, get registered, because this is just a snippet of information from somebody who, I know Rocky likes to say he knows a lot, but I've met somebody else. Steven Jackson knows everything in real life. And if he doesn't know, he knows how to get in touch with somebody that can get that answer. So yeah, it's really, really important. And I'll just say that I know that Rocky and I are just honored to be involved with Weibo. And it has just been amazing for us to see the transformation that happens from the first day of the class to the graduation. And we try to nurture those people and make sure that their businesses work better, move better, make money better. And I'm in contact with them all the time. So
Great.
Yeah.
Right.
I just want to say thank you, Steven. I appreciate the trust that you put in us, that to usher in some new entrepreneurs here in Waco and teach them the right way. And there's no fluff. We get down to business.
So I want to make this clear. We're not teaching them. We're just going to be facilitating a conversation. They're going to be doing some homework, and they're going to get a lot of these answers based upon them learning the right questions to answer.
Well, like I say, you may not be teaching, but there's a lot of learning going on.
Yes, there is. We call it peer-to-peer learning. So there is a lot of learning going on, but this is not the classroom. We don't conduct a classroom. There's no one at the head of the room telling you this is step one, this is step two. You should be doing it. This reminds me, there's a movie. I think it's Class Act with Rodney Dangerfield, Back to School. So Rodney Dangerfield goes back to school. He was a successful clothing retailer, and he's sitting in his first class, and the guy says, "This is how you build a business." So the professor, who's never owned a business, he starts mapping out this imaginary way of building a business. He said, "We're gonna build a factory." And Rodney Dangerfield gets down. He said, "No, wait a minute. This is how it's done, man. Because you got to pay the Teamsters for the concrete. You got this is the real way." So and the instructor goes. He says, "So where are we going to build it?" He said, "So now where do we build this business?" And Rodney goes, "Well, you must go be building the fantasy land because that's the only place it's going to exist." It's like, so we realize that the classroom is structured. It's never been the way of building a Weibo business. How can we get more information about this?
I'll put it up. Okay. I'll put it up on the website.
So we're not every week. We're not doing classroom instruction. Yes, there are some very fine-tuned topics, but we introduce them in a unique way. We have conversations about them in a unique way. You're able to give your opinions about them. You're able to give feedback to other people in the classrooms about it, and through that is how we begin to figure out what's going to be right for our business. I would tell you, when I started my first company, I had some really outlandish ideas. I thought I was going to need, a couple $100,000. I actually started my company with less than 3,000, and was able to grow that in about 3.5 years or 4 years to 4.5 million. Okay, so I started with 3,000 and grew into 4.5 million. Where I watched two guys take 250,000 and go and take it to zero. Same business. The difference was I knew I had a different market than they did, but I just went in and got knowledge and got challenged every week. So like I said, I enrolled in the Weibo program prior to starting my company, and I learned so much. I bought it. I learned how to, I learned about bartering. My first set of stationery was bartered for. You do a lot of different things to grow a company. You realize that you don't have to do. It doesn't have to look the way that you think it has to look. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to have some fun, just have some conversations and facilitate some great discussions where you don't feel like you are, you got to remember all this information is being crammed down your throat, and there's a master test at the end. Okay, I really appreciate everything that you guys are doing in Waco. I like I saw when you first launched the restaurant Facebook group. I like what's going on. Like you said, I've been to Waco a couple of times. I didn't know there was 32 Black-owned businesses there. restaurants there either. So, and I didn't do any market research, of course. I think I interacted with about 4 or 5 during the times I've been there. I've had great experiences at the 4 or 5 that I went to. But now I know when I get back, I got some others that I'll be pursuing, and I see all the pictures. I've seen some interesting stuff there. I gotta come down and try. So it's you guys are doing a great job. I guess people got more reason to come to Waco besides Magnolias now. That's good news.
Your mic is off.
Oh, my bad. Last time we talked, you guys were in the middle of a hot spot, and we were just, just really starting to feel the effects. And now we're in a hot spot, and you guys have cooled off somewhat. And so, who knows how long this will last?
Cool off, but we're still very cautious. I got to give it to our governor. He's moving very cautiously. So, matter of fact, the mayor said this is what school's going to look like in September. The governor said, no, we're going to talk about that. He said, I got the final word on that. It's interesting watching those two. It's like a kid say, I want to do this, and the parent said, no, you're not. New York City is, we're moving cautious. Like I said, outdoor, everything is outdoor dining because some things did not look right to the administration. So they decided not to allow indoor dining. However, barbershops are open, salons are open. Hairdressers open. Some of them now got the plastics in the middle between customers. I went to as you can see, I got to my barber finally, but I had the fro going for a while. But I still had to wear my mask except for when he did, around my mustache and stuff. But it's starting to get there. This is going to be interesting summer. It's funny. I know I'm so used to having a Sunday, somewhere around the city, going out for Sunday brunch and sitting in a restaurant, and that's no longer available, and just can't do that like we used to do it. But pandemic aside, ladies and gentlemen, this is still a great time, an amazing time to start a business. Things cost less. People really want to do business with you. They want to listen to your ideas. You can probably get your raw materials at a less price, and then, like I said, if you got a different twist and spin on and that the competitors are not looking at in your market, hey, go after them. That's the thing about it. Some businesses are slow to pivot. Some businesses haven't pivot. Some businesses, unfortunately, made the decision to close their doors and, not do this anymore. So there's going to be.
Brooks Brothers would go out of business.
Well, they filed bankruptcy. They're not necessarily out of business. They're looking for a buyer, so they're not necessarily out of business. So the difference between corporations, they file bankruptcy, don't mean they're closing their doors. It just means they want to get it from under.
They reorganizing credit for the most part.
They reorganizing credit. They just some people ain't gonna get. There's some companies ain't gonna get paid. That's what that really. Or gonna get paid less than what their invoices say. That's what they're looking at. But I mean, we look at retail is going to, the retail industry is going to change. It's going to look a lot different than what it looks now. already people done killed malls off. I tell you, I have a gentleman right now here in New York. He does a mini donuts. A cousin doesn't, and he's been in malls, and he has transitioned his business out of malls into mobile trucks and carts and food carts. He's not going to be spending $10,000 a month to be in a mall. That's going to probably see down in traffic where he's transitioning. And I never had the conversation, and he felt a little. At times you think about, I've been in this position, I got these employees and everything else, but I'm going off the cliff. You gotta look at your business. If your business is driving off the cliff, why keep steering it that way?
Right. Right.
Make that pivot.
Make a correction.
Make that sharp correction, and take it to a different direction. And that's what he's doing. And I'm looking forward to seeing what that's going to look like. It's going to be exciting and stuff. But it's just the opportunity of looking how to do it. So this pandemic is going to change a lot about how business looks, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. The last thing I do want to say, just work your business. We say have that integrity, live on your promise. And the only way you're gonna know if you live on your promise, ask your customers what's going on. Have a conversation with customers, survey them, give them. I know some restaurants, they put a little survey card out right there when you finish the meal. Please take a few minutes, fill this out, or here's a link, go online. You can win a prize or something like that. Find out what your customers think about your business, because you may think that everything. Like I said, it's all good till Gordon Ramsay shows up. And then things don't look so hot, or you put in the call the John Taffer from Bar Rescue or Gordon Ramsay. You don't want to be in that position, but the only way if you're heading that position, if you're not talking to your customers.
Right.
Let people, and if they're putting Yelp reviews on it, see what they're putting out there, and respond appropriately to it, and you're not going to be able to please everyone. So the truth is, we don't please everyone, but we need to be pleasing our target market and delivering on our promise. That's the only thing I consistently say: deliver on your promise. So whatever your promise that your brand is going to do, make sure that it do that. And if it's costing you more to do that, then you got to change your pricing structure or change your target market. We can change one or the other, but you got to be able to deliver on your brand. If you don't live on your brand, you're not going to be in business for too much longer, because customers are they're not going to come back. And that ain't going to be customers. You're just going to see them at one time and they're gone. They're gone to someone else. Absolutely. And I've learned in 22 years of business, there's no such thing as a loyal customer. Because if you get a better deal and better service, you're gone. I can tell you that right now.
There.
You're out. So a customer is only as loyal as your brand is delivering on its promises.
Absolutely.
You don't deliver, they're no longer loyal.
They out.
They out. They're gone. Okay. I appreciate everything. Thank you for having me on. This has been great. Look, we can definitely do this again.
Okay.
You get another topic. We can come back and have some fun and do this again. Because our focus at Webull, we want to see everyone successful. That's our number one thing. I want to see every Black business as possible successful. And I'm going to leave y'all with this. There's something I would like for us to stop doing. We spread some stuff. We talk about some things that we have no numbers on because they go by our perception. And we spread this information like it's a fact. So there's a fact, there's a piece of information out there that Blacks don't do business with other Black businesses. Now, I have not come across any data that states that. None whatsoever. There's no data that says how much business Blacks do. I do know that Blackout Friday, I've seen a number of businesses report that they did a great amount of sales for Blackout Tuesday. It was, they said it really, the program really kind of worked for them. But I don't want us to keep going around saying things that we don't have any data to back up. That's why I challenge you, Keisha, when you say what you think is that's a perception. And the danger becomes when, in this world, there are very few facts, but there's billions of perceptions. And the problem is when we treat our perceptions as facts. Okay. So when we talk about that, Black businesses, that Black people don't do business with Black owned businesses, there's no data to support that. And to me, that's until you got some data to say that it does, I'm not going to spread it because I'm not going to say something that I can't back up with facts. The second thing we constantly is Black businesses don't know how to treat customers. Okay, just because you had a bad experience one time doesn't mean all black businesses don't know how to treat customers. And then we also keep forgetting. And I had this conversation. I was on a panel one day, and a woman stood up and said, "How come black businesses don't know how to treat customers?" I said, "Did you have a bad experience with black business?" Yes. I said, "Did you confront the business owner? Did you tell him what your problem?" No. Well, then how would he know what he did was wrong?
Yeah.
And we have and I'll just piggyback on that by saying we have a rule in our group.
Mm-hmm.
You can post something negative about your experience only if you've confronted with the manager or the owner and it was not addressed.
Thank you.
Because you're not because what I find that happens, Stephen, is that people are quick to run and disparage a business owner or a business before they seek out resolution for their particular issue. And we're not going to be that group to where we're going to promote the despair, because we're trying to promote businesses here. We're not trying to tear them down or injure them or harm them in any way. And I want us to understand that there is an appropriate way to bring up a grievance. It's not running to the internet telling how awful your experiences are before you try and before you address it with the owner. Because how many times have you went through a drive-through or had an experience with a restaurant, McDonald's, a big chain, and they've messed up your order? No one goes to the internet and puts on there McDonald's messed up our order. And they do it religiously. And so I just want to be, and I just want our businesses, black businesses, judged by a standard that is equal to those of their counterparts. That's all.
Thank you for doing that, because it's very important that we, if you have an issue, like I said, we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have bad days or whatever the case. We never know what happens. We never know what the backstory is to why your service wasn't what it should have been. But if you don't confront, if you don't say anything, then the person can't learn from that. And so over the decades, I've done a lot of business with I consistently made certain that I took my contracts and put it into when the things I had to buy was from black businesses, people look like me. And I had a couple of times where a guy I had a printer. First year, he made some mistakes on the stuff he printed for us. I just had a conversation. Hey, man, you messed up. Next year, I still used them. It came time for the next tour. I still use them. Like I say, anybody can make a mistake. I made mistakes. We all going to make mistakes. But the focus is, I fix the mistake, do what I can to fix the mistake, keep the customer, and we can move forward. But if you don't confront me, then I don't know I did anything. If I didn't confront him and this, not decide to come back, he wouldn't know he made a mistake. He couldn't learn from it. He couldn't figure out what happened. There's nothing else to do. And he just knows I didn't come back. I'm no longer a customer. So if you do things great, I'm going to salute you. Say, hey man, this was great. I liked it. If you don't do things not so great, I'm gonna have a conversation with you. And that's the first thing. I'm always gonna have a conversation with Webull graduates. Some conversations say, hey, guess what? You need to do this a little better. Mm-hmm. So I'm consistently. So as a CEO of Webull, the one thing I do, I spend money on our graduates, with our graduates. So I'm consistently always buying products and services from our graduates. I just now, when we did our last fundraiser recently, I purchased gifts to send to the donors for different levels from Webull graduates. I'm going to always support our own. I'm going to always support those who have taken the time to go through this program to build a solid business. That's what we do. And I'm glad that you guys got this group and you're doing the same thing. I'm glad that you're not going to allow people to just dump on these business owners because of their perception of what they thought their service should have been. I'm going to say that because sometimes a lot of this stuff is based upon, the perception. And sometimes you got to remember, we don't know what that employee, and it's not the business owner may even know what the employee. That helps the manager go down. The manager knows, oh man, this employee is not doing what he needs to do, because when Gordon Ramsay pulls up, most of the time there's issue with some of the staff members. They don't do, especially if John Taffer walks into your bar, it's definitely about the staff.
I'll tell an interesting story before we get off. That just the other day we had someone post a complaint. Mm-hmm. And on the surface, the complaint seemed pretty legitimate in that the person made an order from a food truck online, And when they got to the food truck was closed down. What they failed to mention is it was in the middle of a storm. and so the food truck had to shut down to go seek shelter because the food truck isn't the safest place for them and their employees to be
Right.
in the midst of a storm. But nobody mentioned that when they put the post up. And so that's why sometimes I once I do the due diligence and look into it, and the owner was quite straightforward about, hey, we closed down. The person had come to pick their order up. It was a situation where we needed to get out of there and seek shelter. And she said, but what I did was I came back and offered them to recook their meal at no charge and provide them with a gift card to come at a later date. The person still felt like she had the right to disparage the business after that. Now, my point in saying that is this: if someone reaches out to you and gives you a what I consider to be a fair resolution to the issue, there's no reason to go on Facebook and put it.
Yeah, but you know what we reason is correct is not what everyone else thinks and does. Unfortunately, that's, you know, they have their freedom to do that, and you know they want to. Some people hold on to pain for a long time.
Yeah.
Some people just their pain is what gets them up in the morning. They just hold on to certain pain. You know, it's kind of, you ever know someone? You ever knows that, you know, you have a 24-hour day, right? And say you spend 10 hours, you spend 8 hours you're in customer service. You spend 8 hours in customer service. You had a great 7 hours and 15 minutes, and you had one customer who gave you hell for 15 minutes. The whole 7 hours and 45 minutes is wasted because you only now focus on that one 15-minute pain. So we teach this in leadership training when those like the advanced courses past Weibo, is that if you're spending your time focused on just that small 5, 10, 15 minutes of pain versus the 7.5 hours of a great day, what do you think that's going to lead you to?
Yeah.
You know, and so unfortunately, that's what some people do, and they don't get to where they want to get to in life because their focus gets to everything or just the stuff that went wrong. Equal standard conversions will help growth. Okay, I correct. Okay, so this has been great. I gotta go eat.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't mean to interrupt dinner, Stephen. Well, thank you so much.
I'm on East Coast time, so
you're a little late.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Stephen. We appreciate you.
No problem. Have a great week, y'all.
And thank everybody for tuning in. Much love, and we out.
Good night.